So there is a way to fight that stressed out feeling. It's called the Tools for Success folder. And the students that know how to use it don't get as stressed out over tests and aren't as stressed during tests. Here's how to use it and also how not to use it. So Tools for Success is a folder that's accessible on the left side panel. It's under syllabus and above assignments. And there's a few things that show up right away. First of all, if you're having trouble entering certain answers, there's a how to enter my answer set of questions to guide you. If you need help in using my math lab or my stat lab, there's a tool there and tool for course information. But in this, I've already kind of summarized the pages you can use and the pages you can't use. So let me take a pause here, go to the Dropbox, and show you the pages that you can use during the test. And then I'll come back and show the ones that you can't during the test. So here's the Dropbox. If you haven't found my links to it, I'll try to send those out to you again. I guess I can get notifications here. I did not know that. I'll have to find out what that's all about. You only have access to one of my classes, and that would be, if this loads here quickly, I'll show you. It's the Math 25 class. You won't even see those other folders. So in here, and I sent this link out at the beginning of the semester, there's one folder for each class section, and there's really not much in those. There's just the how to register, the items that I had sent out before, how to register in the syllabus. And let me go back a step. Oh, too far. And that's for both sections. But under the general files, there are there's the pacing schedule that I've sent out in the past and sent videos on that. There's a few other items that you can go in and explore. There's nothing wrong with you going in and exploring some of these things. I have them there more for me to be able to access, but when I do a demonstration in a video and you notice that I was using something that you see also in here, go ahead and go play with it yourself. I'll show you a video on how to use these normal distribution GeoGebra files that I've made. Anyway, for tests, and I know I sent this out for the midterm, before the midterm, and then I printed it out during the midterm for people that wanted it. There's all this approved material. I've saved them as PDFs. First of all, that makes them lighter sized. You can carry them around with you on a jump drive when you're going from computer to computer. If you're working at your parents' computer one point and the school computer another point, you can keep these with you so you don't have to keep going to the Dropbox and re-downloading them. Or you can just go to the Dropbox and download them at any time that you have internet access. And when you open them and print them out, you'll become more familiar with them than if you just try to access them every once in a while. One of my favorites is this one, and it's called Stat G1. It's because it was from an earlier version of this same statistics book, and it's App C because it was the appendix where they showed you how to do this. But if it doesn't open quite normal in the browser, just go ahead and come up here and download it, and then open it up from a downloaded source. So I'll go ahead and download this, even though I've actually already got it downloaded. All right, and let me resize this a little bit. So this is the Appendix C of an earlier edition of the book, and what's nice about this one is that it's got all of the basic functions you're going to use throughout the chapters really summarized here. So this first page is basically everything we did from chapters 1 through 5, all the way down to binomial distribution. And then starting with the new stuff, normal probability distribution, to confidence intervals, which is chapter 7. Some of you have started on that. Hypothesis testing, which is chapter 8, and so on. And they're very summarized. They'll just say, if you want to get the area, you go second vars. To get the area, use normal CDF, put in the lower bound, the upper bound, and then if you don't put in another value or another two values after that, it'll assume that your mu is 1, mu is 0, and standard deviation is 1. So it'll basically, if you don't put anything here by default, we'll assume that you have a normal standard distribution. If you don't have a normal standard distribution, but you have a normal distribution in general, it's normal, but it's just not a standard. It doesn't have a mu of 0 and a standard deviation of 1. Then put in those, and then it'll do the correction. It'll change these upper and lower bounds to z-scores. It'll basically look up on the chart what the area is, and then it'll pull that one that corresponds. So these are really good tools to use. They're helping you use the TI calculator. Now, if you don't have the TI calculator, let me make a quick point about that. You can borrow someone else's if they allow you to use their ROM, and then you can get an emulator. There are places on the web where I think you can buy ROMs if you don't want to buy a physical copy of the calculator, but I'm not sure about all the legality of these things. I just know that we have lots of calculators that have had their displays smashed, and so TI Lovers has an emulator, and different people have show you on the web how to set it up. But here's my emulator, and I can do all of these things. I can hit second vars, and I can go to normal CDF and put in some boundaries, and they don't have to be from a standard normal distribution. They can be from any normal distribution, and I can find the corresponding probability. Anyway, so back to the Dropbox. The Dropbox has great tools, and these are all those that are approved for the tests. So you want to have those out printed and regularly knowing how to use them, so that way when you go to take the test, they're meaningful. Because otherwise, you'll know that there's a lot of information there, but you won't know how to navigate it, obviously. And those things, pardon me, are in the Tools for Success folder. So those are the things that you can use. And I said in this introduction that here's how to use it, basically using all those files that I've already summarized in the Dropbox, and here's how not to use it. So the Tools for Success has more than that. It has a bunch of other things. And if it's not approved and you think it should be approved, feel free to ask me. But one of the things in here is calculator tutorials. You can't use those during the tests or quizzes. Tests, by tests I mean quizzes or midterms or final. There's a great tool for being shown how to go through the calculator. That's right here, graphing calculator tutorial. If you haven't used that, you're really missing out, because it emulates the calculator as well, but the nice thing about it is it has explanations next to the pieces. So suppose that you wanted to be able to, I don't know, use the calculator to find normal distributions, or areas that correspond to them. It gives you a sample problem, and it gives you instructions throughout the problem, and it goes through the process of emulating it. So it's not really a calculator, but you can push the buttons and feel like you're actually following the steps, and you can navigate. You can speed through the navigation if you just want to come back and do something that you remember doing once before, but you just can't totally remember it, by coming down here, and you can click anywhere in the keystrokes, or you can click in the keystrokes up here. So I'll go through a few examples there. This one was my favorite when I was first learning this stuff with the calculator, because I didn't use the calculator when I took statistics, and I'm sad that I didn't, because this calculator, I used Excel and I used SPSS, which is similar to our StatCrunch and StatDisk, but I didn't have the calculator. And sometimes the calculator is better, sometimes Excel is better, and sometimes StatCrunch is better, and it's best to know how to use all three or more. Anyway, go back to the home, and for the next section, for chapter 7, you would really like to use the confidence intervals, and it'll show you how to use them here. So that's a great tool, because it actually tutors you through it. That's why it's called tutorial. Anyway, all right, that's how to use the Tools for Success and how not to use them. This calculator tutorial cannot be used during the actual test, only the approved printed material, so that way everyone's working with the same standard. But there are also tutorial videos here for lots of different technology. There is, before I leave this page, there is my favorite, the animated flowcharts. This takes you to the links that are already in the textbook and already in homework problems. But this will directly show you how to do things like choose
Your goal in this
between
activity
Z
is
and
to use
T.
the flowchart shown to choose the appropriate distribution for different situations.
Let me pause that for you. And this flowchart is going to be, or at least the process of understanding this thinking is going to be used from here on out through the rest of the semester. So this will make or break you. If you do not know how to choose between a Z distribution or a T distribution, you will do well or struggle. So this flowchart specifically that I picked, choosing between Z and T, definitely one you should check out. But check out all of these flowcharts. They can be printed when you go into the textbook and look at their location in the textbook, or from the summary pages in the PowerPoints. And you can go back on stuff that you may have not looked at before. And hope that helps. Okay, so let me close this out. Get you ready for another Did You Know later.